And welcome back to the winner's bracket as we have the home team Beaufort County taking on the visiting team Latta in the winner's bracket. Neither of these teams have lost so far, and this is a highly anticipated matchup as these are very well possibly the two best teams at the 14U level. Beaufort County has number 10 Phoenix Shapiro on the mound. At catcher, number 15, Carson Culmer. At first base, number 13, Tucker Nelson. At second base, number 5, Jackson Riley. At third base, number 6, Chase Cotter. At shortstop, number 11, Logan Cotter. At left field, number 14, Colin Sanchez. At center field, number 12, Ian Steiner. And at right field, number 2, Michael Morgan. Beaufort County has outscored their opponents 41-2 in this tournament. They have been the dominant team. And even though Beaufort County is the host of this team, they are going up against possibly one of their biggest foes right now. One of my favorite players is actually up to bat to start. Number 23, Logan Bird. As it appears that field number 2 has become very exciting as these guys have gone from a low minimum talking to now an absolute screaming Ken Tinsley level. And there is a 1-0 count. Little bit confused what's going on right now. Seems to be some type of conversation between Mike Selly and Logan Bird. I believe the count is 1-0 as Logan Bird steps back in the batter box. There's a big hack right there, 1-1. Logan Bird is the only kid this tournament to be intentionally walked, not once, not twice, but 3 times. His batting average hasn't been spectacular, but if he can get a hold of this ball, he's one of the more electric players. Last year, he hit a walk-off home run to continue Latta's 13U run. Now he appears to try to do the same this season. But Beaufort County has probably one of their best pitchers on the mound, rightfully so, because Latta can hit, but Phoenix Shapiro. And apparently he went 1 for 3. 1 and 3. Logan Bird strikes out. JP Bly, speedster, second in the slot for hitting. But as I was saying, Phoenix Shapiro, not only probably Beaufort's best pitcher, most consistent pitcher, but he is the best catcher in this year's tournament. And that's a strike as he paints the outside corner. And JP Bly looking to start the game off for Latta. And as I mentioned, Beaufort County doesn't really let people into the game ever. So it'd be interesting to see. That ball's a foul tip as we got 0-2 the count. JP Bly facing a tough count here. Phoenix Shapiro gets a look. Nobody on base. Already struck out Logan Bird. And there's another foul tip as JP Bly has the ball down, but don't think he can time up the speed right now. There's a lot of depth in Beaufort County's pitching corral. And one of the other ones we saw the other night just briefly was Michael Morgan, and he is starting in the outfield as Phoenix Shapiro gets his second K. And that now brings up number 99, Caden Lee, who's starting at pitcher and probably Latta's best pitcher. He's probably their best pitcher for Latta, but he's going to try to help himself out right here. As so far, Phoenix Shapiro has gone 2 up, 2 down and not even allow somebody to make an attempt to run. And that's a ball on the outside, low left corner. Phoenix Shapiro, I wouldn't say is the fastest pitcher on the roster, but like I had said, he is the most consistent pitcher. And Beaufort County is a formidable foe, as I mentioned, outscoring their team 41-2. Every team 41-2. Latta did mercy rule yesterday. Tri-County. Oh, I'm sorry, Jefferson. They mercy ruled Jefferson yesterday. There's a second strike. 1-2 the count right now as Caden Lee is looking at a very difficult position, and I imagine starting to creep into his head that his fate could possibly be the same as his two other teammates that went before him, and that's a ball down in the dirt. 2-2 the count with 2 outs. Deuces are wild. This is a tough, exciting game for me to call because I am from Beaufort County. I've seen a lot of these boys growing up, and I'm very excited and pumped for them, but I am also just as excited to see Latta play. They've been one of the more inspirational teams to play, so this will be a good matchup as Shapiro goes 3 up, 3 down, and starts out with 3 Ks. He is a spectacular baseball player. He also likes to play basketball. I remember him in his younger years, played a lot of basketball for us. He is a great player. Phoenix Shapiro, favorite movie is Pirates of the Caribbean. And as I had mentioned, also enjoys playing basketball. He's a very talented basketball player as well. I remember him in his younger years and pretty impressed with him so far. But now let's see if Latta can hold. Latta is a team full of hitters, and they have 80% of their team returning from last year's state championship run as they finished 3rd, I believe, in the 13U championship last year. Returning starters for them are Logan Bird, JP Bly, Caden Lee, Zach Lane, Bryson Berry, Reese Rouse, Nick Mendez, JJ Welch, and I believe Weston McCall was also there last year too. Caden Lee on the mound, and we haven't seen Caden Lee since the first day, and he is Latta's best pitcher as they did plan accordingly, and that was a very strategic move by the Latta head coaches, knowing that they were going to take on a juggernaut of a team with Beaufort County. We are not padding any stats or playing any favor, folks, just because Beaufort County is our home team. They are every bit as good as we are talking about, and they deserve the praise that they have gotten. But as I mentioned, this should not be an easy game for Beaufort in comparison to the other people that they have played. Latta is a very talented team, the only other undefeated team remaining. So could very possibly be looking at a state championship game matchup later, no matter who loses and who wins. Phoenix Shapiro starting off strong. Caden Lee hoping to do the same type of dances. Caden Lee is actually a lefty. As here comes McCall, Weston McCall from out of the dugout finally with his catcher's gear on. Very excited to see this game get going and get underway as Beaufort County's leadoff batter is Jackson Riley. Jackson Riley might get a sponsorship from Puma after this as he has absolutely lit it up running the bases. He has got some speed on him, and he is definitely excited to show it, and that is the reason he is the leadoff batter. He is the starting second baseman for Beaufort County, and hopefully this game is going to get underway here pretty soon. Behind the plate today, we have Mike Selly, and in the field, we have Chase Cunningham. Chase Cunningham was our umpire behind the plate the previous game. Danny Morgan, the head baseball coach for Beaufort County, is also a coach at Hilton Head Christian Academy baseball team too. He is the third base coach today for Beaufort County, and I've heard some discrepancies that maybe head coaches shouldn't be third base coaches. I personally enjoy being a third base coach. But number 5, Jackson Riley enters the game as the leadoff batter. Number 5, the speedster, hoping to start some scoring fast for Beaufort County to get up on top of this electrifying Latta team. And that is a ball outside. I believe that was a curveball he was trying to get to turn in. Just wasn't able to get there. He was close to the outside line. Here comes Caden Lee. And that's a strike right there. 1-1 the count. One thing that I will say about Caden Lee is he does not lack confidence. This is a very confident young man. Very confident young man, and walks with a certain type of Ric Flair, I guess we could say. Another good pitch, as that now brings the count to 1-2. And Jackson Riley just looking to get on base so he can use his deadliest attribute, his feet. Here comes Caden Lee. And that is Caden Lee's first K of today, hoping to match Shapiro with 3 Ks. Logan Cotter now up to bat. And last time they were playing on the first day, Logan Cotter made himself at home on third base. Every time he was up to bat, before you knew it, he was on third base waiting to come on home and get those runs counted. Now that's a strike right there. Logan saw the ball, tipped his hips like he was going to swing at it, decided not to, but Caden Lee likes to dance around the outside of the strike zone. So if you get one straight down the middle like that, you got to take that shot. And there's a hit. That's a high pop fly. Whoa, what a tough catch by the shortstop, J.P. Bly, but he did not make it. Diving attempt. I don't believe that that is an error. I don't believe that that is an error. Hopefully he's going to shake it off. I think he maybe just got the wind knocked out of him. And that qualifies as a single for Cotter. Ian Steiner, one of the recipients of the few home run balls we've given out, actually hit a grand slam 2 days ago. Bases loaded, and he took that ball to Alaska. He hit it so far. Very talented player, Ian Steiner. He's starting center fielder. He's got some wheels on him as well, but definitely his biggest attribute to this team is his bat, as he attempts to swing all of his power. And we got a stolen base as Cotter advances to second as Ian Steiner whiffs on a big swing. That's 0-1 the count. Cotter sitting at second base, looking to go back to his favorite place, third base. That's a ball outside. 1-1 the count. Here comes Caden Lee with the windup. 1-1 the count. There's the second strike. 1-2 the count with 1 out, 1 man on second. Caden Lee looking back, throws the ball. That's a ball outside, and that's going to advance Cotter to third base. Cotter finding his home. Just like Steph Curry on the basketball court, that might be his sweet spot, as he is always there. A very efficient base runner, and obviously when you are a shortstop and a good one at that, you got some good feet on you. Here's a good pitch right here. Ball outside, and 3-2 the count. Got ourselves a full count here. Ian Steiner, deadly batter. Deadly batter. He can make magic out of almost anything. Let's see if he can make some magic here. Or if Caden Lee puts a chocolate chip cookie. And there's the ball hit straight to J.P. Bly. The run will score, but Ian Steiner is out. J.P. Bly with a making it look routine. Now batting, the DH for Beaufort County, Anthony Seminara. And as I've touched on many times, shortstop is a very coveted position in baseball, but very often if your team's not good and it shows on the win-loss column, it's probably because your shortstop's not very good. Luckily, both these teams have exceptional shortstops that make routine plays, are good with the glove, and can do something besides just have a game of catch. So let's see what number 7 can do. Seminara. There's a strike, 1-1 to count. Beaufort County has scored 1 run. But Caden Lee has knocked him down to 2 outs so far. And there's a big swing, 1-2 the count. And when you get designated the DH, you've got to make something happen with the bat. That's why you were put there. And Seminara is trying to go out there and prove that. That's a ball in the dirt. 2-2 the count with 2 outs. And that it means deuces are wild. Here comes the pitch. The windup and the throw by Caden Lee. And that's playable, but Caden Lee, oh no, he fumbled it. Oh. On that run right there, I believe that is an error that goes to the pitcher. That was a very playable ball more than one time, but unlike Loris in the game before, Caden Lee was not able to keep his composure. One of the most important things in baseball is keeping your composure when there is errors. Caden Lee, unfortunately, was not able to do that on that play, but I know he will rebound. Now up to bat. Number 6, Chase Coella. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Chase Coella hit an in-the-park home run yesterday. Is that true? I believe he might have. If not, he was sure scampering. I didn't get to call their game yesterday, but you could hear the fireworks going off as Beaufort County ran the score up in Mercy Rule Jefferson yesterday. Here comes the pitch. And he kind of hesitated. That throw drops right into the second baseman with the catch. And that brings us to the end of the first inning as the score is 1-0 to Beaufort County, as Latta had one big error that may have cost him that league. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to you soon. And we're back here at the top of the second inning of Beaufort County versus Latta. Phoenix Shapiro trying to come back and reenact his first time out at the mound. He threw 3 Ks. Nobody even got on base. 3 up, 3 down. And what appeared to me early on as probably the tournament's best catcher is also a phenomenal pitcher. So as I mentioned earlier, if you watched the game before, Tri-County's 14U team did have probably the second best catcher, if not the 1A catcher, Vincent Gibson 00. And I only said that he was just a hair underneath Phoenix Shapiro in some of his big plays. But here comes Phoenix Shapiro showing that he can pitch the ball too. Number 22, Weston McCall now up to bat. He's the starting catcher for Latta. And that ball's a foul tip right there, starting the count off at 0-1. Kind of an errant throw right there. Here comes Phoenix Shapiro with the windup. And that's a ball. Looked like it was close to the strike zone, but we're going to go 1-1 count here as Mike Selly gives it the nod to the batter on that one. Here comes the windup in the pitch. That's another ball outside, 2-1. Phoenix Shapiro has more than just one pitch in his pocket, and not many teams can say that with their pitcher, especially other than just throwing fast. So there's another foul ball as he now walks Weston McCall to a 2-2 count. And this is kind of where he wants him. He wants him to have confidence that he can maybe hit the ball, and then he's going to drop one in. We've seen Phoenix Shapiro do it in the first inning, and he probably is going to do it in the second. And that goes down as a K, as it appeared that he was trying to show bunt. The right fielder now up to bat, number 9, Zach Lane. We've also seen Zach Lane pitch the ball as he pitched the ball versus, I believe it was Jefferson, and he did a very good job. Low ball in the dirt. As the count now is 1-0. The battle of the undefeateds in the winter bracket. And whatever team wins this game will be in the driver's seat for the tournament. There's a strike, 1-1. Whatever team wins this game will be in the driver's seat, like I said, and if they are beaten at any time, they must be beaten twice. So remaining undefeated gives you a little bit of extra reassurance. And there's a swing outside as the starting catcher for today, Carson Colmer, number 15, missed the ball, bounced off his glove, but a 1-2 count as Zach Lane tried to get a hit on that, and it just did not fall. Here comes the pitch, Phoenix Shapiro. And the drop 3 rule, and he's safe on the drop 3 rule. That is the first tournament drop 3 success that I have seen. That ball really got away from Carson Colmer and cost Phoenix Shapiro a K. Now batting, number 18, Bryson Berry, a returning starter for Latta from last year. But so far, the dominance of Phoenix Shapiro, who should have 5 Ks, but with that drop 3 rule, he now has just 4. Here comes the pitch. Foul tip, as that is a 0-2 count. Bryson Berry's favorite song, Yeet. Still haven't been able to figure out who this guy is that sings the name Yeet, but to check it out. Two on the count here as Bryson Berry's sitting in a favorable position, but never count out Phoenix Shapiro. 3-1 the count. I believe this is the first time, no, I apologize, the second time that Phoenix has seen the possibility of walking somebody. He's been that proficient early on. Safe as he attempts to pick off the runner at first base, Zach Lane. And there is Phoenix Shapiro's first walk, first blemish on his record, as he brings now up Reese Rouse, number 3, the starting center fielder, and the winner of Alex Hunt's Best Due Award last year. But there has been some great mullets out there this season, and it's a lot closer of a race than it was last year. Phoenix Shapiro staring him down, trying to peer into his stomach to see what he had for lunch. He's staring so hard. Here comes the ball. That's a strike. 0-1 the count with a man on second and first. Zach Lane trying to get into third base to put himself in a little bit better position. He's hoping to do so before Rouse has actually made contact with the ball so that he can try to tie this game up 1-1. 0-2 the count as Phoenix Shapiro is painting the corner. He's putting on 2 coats right now. Let's see if he's going to put on that third coat. This is a very anticipated game, and it has been a very good game. And that's a foul ball hit into the fence as Reese Rouse stays alive with an 0-2 count. Zach Lane eager to get to third base. Here comes the pitch. Wind up. And there it is, a K. Something very usual for Phoenix Shapiro as he now gets his 5th K in just the 2nd inning. Now batting for Latta, their DH, 0-0, Nick Mendez. The outs is there. 2 outs, a man on second and a man on first. And Nick Mendez, the DH, was put here to keep the ball alive and bring people home. That's the job of the DH. Oh, my goodness. Uh-oh. Little bit of an error right there by Cotter. They would have had him. I really think they would have had him if that ball was caught. But it's okay. Errors happen. And it is a part of the game of baseball. And it's just what team makes the least amount of errors that wins the ball game as Nick Mendez comes up. Zach Lane is where he wants to be, but there is 2 outs on the board. So any force out play or strikeout, Zach Lane would have gotten a third for no reason. But he looks ready to go. He's ready. There's a strike. Beaufort County leading 1-0 right now in the bottom. And that ball's hit right to the third baseman. He catches it. There's a routine out. That run does not count because, as I mentioned, as a force out in baseball, a home run does not score on a force out. Two people were left on base that inning for Latta, and that's something that they need to capitalize on against a tough pitcher in Phoenix Shapiro. He has thrown 5 Ks in 2 innings, and as of right now, he's on his way to do a tournament high with the amount of strikeouts that he has had so far. Caden Lee steps on the mound as our leadoff batter for Beaufort County should be number 14, Colin Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken. Caden Lee warming up, and as I mentioned, Caden Lee got a lot of confidence in himself, and when he's on, he's on. But sometimes somebody with a lot of confidence has to make sure that they stay in the correct mental space. He's done so this whole tournament. He did so last year. He was a great pitcher last year as a young man and threw out a great first time out there. And as I mentioned, number 14, Colin Sanchez comes up to bat. Colin Sanchez is the starting left fielder for Beaufort County. Colin Sanchez, favorite food is honey buns. He's a big Red Sox fan and big David Ortiz fan as well. Loves Big Papi, as do most of us. He was a tremendous sports figure, even though he did play for the Boston Red Sox. Ball on the outside. 1-0 the count. Here's the pitches. McCall seemed to have lost it. Might have shot through his glove. Caden Lee did put a lot of heat on that one there. Colin Sanchez. Just looks like a great batter when you see his stance. But you got to swing the ball. 2-1 the count right now. No outs, bottom of the second. Colin Sanchez and McCall once again kind of loses the ball. McCall, normally a pretty sure-handed catcher. I think maybe he just got a little bit lackadaisical. As I mentioned, Latta normally doesn't make many mistakes, or Latta. Apologize if I'm saying that wrong at home. I am from the north, as I have mentioned many of times. And that is his 4th ball. Caden Lee seems to disagree with that call, but the lefty has got to stay focused and dialed in because he is a great pitcher when his head is in it. Carson Comer, the catcher for Beaufort County, now up to bat. He did have a little bit of an error on that drop 3 rule. I do believe that a drop 3 does go down as an error, as Caden Lee, pretty awkward pitch or throw there to the first baseman. I didn't think that he was going to throw that. Definitely didn't look like he was set up to throw it. But has a very stoic stance and throws it hard left. Bunt was showed. 0-1 the count. Carson Comer didn't appear to move his levels at all. And if you're going to show a bunt, you got to be prepared to change levels to find the ball. And Caden Lee seems very bothered by the first baseman, but kind of looks, oh, here we go. And that is an out. Caden Lee's focus on that runner, Colin Sanchez, paid off in the end as he threw to number 18, Bryson Berry. And Colin Sanchez took off, but was not able to get skinny enough underneath. Carson Comer looking to make something happen here and make up for that. And that's a strike right there. He now has 2 strikes. Next one could be his demise. He's got to focus in on this ball and not be taken back by Caden Lee's confidence. Caden Lee has an aura around him, and it's kind of enjoyable, that of like a Brian Bosworth type deal. And he rightfully so. He is a good player and a dominant player. And for those of you who don't remember, Brian Bosworth was probably one of the more dominant linebackers in college football in the 90s. Number 44 from Oklahoma, very often confused for not having a good NFL career, but he had a pretty decent NFL career, a couple injuries here and there, but he was lights out in college. Strike 1, and Caden Lee is looking for his 3rd K of the day, as Tucker Nelson, number 13, is looking to make something happen. Tucker Nelson is the starting first baseman today, but he has been a pretty good pitcher for Beaufort County in past games. As I have mentioned, Beaufort County has quite a deep roster of pitchers here. And some of these boys, I do believe, were on the Dixie National Championship a number of years ago with the younger age groups. I believe so. Getting a thumbs up from Daryl Catola. Daryl Catola, the figurehead of Beaufort County Parks and Recs Athletics. And there's a big swing and gets Tucker Nelson swinging. That is Caden Lee's 3rd K, and we're going to take a brief intermission as we go to the top of the 3rd inning, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to Beaufort County. Beaufort County, welcome back to the championship game. Where we have Beaufort County leading Latta 1-0 at the top of the third inning. And this is a tight game, just like many of us predicted. We are actually graced with the presence of a folklore. Bob Rosak is up here in the press box. We normally don't see him. Normally he's out front shaking hands and welcoming people in. But we are graceful enough to have him up here, keeping a scorebook, trying to be one of us normal people. And now batting number 77, J.J. Welch. J.J. Welch is the starting second baseman. And there is a ball outside. Another big swing right there by Welch. 0-2 the count right now. As Welch is usually 2-1 the count. My apologies. We don't get many singles up here from Mike Selly. 2-1 the count. Two. Phoenix Shapiro giving the old desk there. And here comes the pitch. And oof, J.J. Welch dodges out of that. That brings us to a full count. 3-2 the count. Both hands in the cookie jar. As the catcher calls the time to talk real quick to Phoenix Shapiro. Carson Colmer wanted to have a quick conversation with Phoenix Shapiro out there. 3-2 count, full count. Here comes the pitch. Foul tip, staying alive for J.J. Welch. J.J. Welch is a big Yankees fan. And I don't know many people that are Yankees fans, so power to him finding the Yankees all the way down here. As he has now walked, and Phoenix Shapiro walks just his second batter. Logan Bird last time out hit a high fly ball that was caught. He has not had success at batting these last two games. Oh, my apologies. He struck out. J.P. Bly hit a pop fly. So last time out there, Logan Bird actually struck out. But Logan Bird does have quite a bat on him, and he is a very talented baseball player. We've had quite a number of players that have really impressed over the last tournament. Logan Bird being one of them, Phoenix Shapiro being another one. And as I mentioned earlier, couple from people that aren't here anymore. Aiden Arendt. Been quite a number of good players as Phoenix Shapiro tries to pick off J.J. Welch at first base, but unsuccessful attempt. And here comes the pitch from Phoenix Shapiro. It's going to be outside. Logan Bird has 2 strikes against him here, and he's hoping to not strike out again. Normally one of the more consistent big bats that we've seen, more talented baseball players at this tournament. Hopefully he's able to find some success on this one. And there it is. That's a foul ball. J.J. Welch makes it all the way to second, but Phoenix Shapiro was able to put it in a place where it would go foul. Getting the signal from Comer behind the plate. Phoenix Shapiro giving him the nod. Oh, Logan Bird called time on that one. Was a little bit unsure, maybe wanted to recorrect his mental thought process on that one. Here comes the throw, and that is another strikeout for Logan Bird, and that is not something Latta wants to see. Their best batter going 0 for 2 today. Now up to bat, their starting shortstop, number 16, J.P. Bly. In the first inning, J.P. Bly had a heroic dive in an attempt to catch a ball, but was unable to do it. But it still was very impressive and cool to see young men like that willing to put their body on the line to help their team win. 1 out, 1 man on first on a walk. And Phoenix Shapiro is accurate, let me tell you. There's a ball in the dirt. Tight game here. Low scoring game for both these teams. Normally these teams are mercy ruling somebody, but the clash of the undefeated is destined for some good baseball here. And that's a strike right there for Phoenix Shapiro. Hopefully he can find his rhythm yet again. 5 Ks in his first 2 innings. Should have 6, but there was a drop 3 that allowed the man to get to first base. Here comes the pitch. Ball's hit right to the second baseman, gets squeaks past him. J.J. Welsh advances 1 base, and J.P. Bly hits a clean single. Now up to bat, number 99, the enthusiastic pitcher, Caden Lee. Caden Lee likes to play football, basketball, and soccer. When he grows up, he wants to be an athletic trainer. He really seems like a true competitor, and passion like that will get you very far in athletics and in life. So hopefully he can keep that passion and enthusiasm for everything as he goes on. And that's a foul tip. Phoenix Shapiro does appear to be human here in the 3rd inning as he's allowed 2 people on base, one with a walk and the other one with a single hit after striking out probably one of the most prolific batters for Latta. Here comes the pitch from Phoenix Shapiro. Oh, and he hits the batter. Oh, missed him. One and one to count. The way Caden Lee kind of marched off, I thought he was hitting the shin. Instead, he just did his best impression of Ken Tinsley trying to walk down the office hallway. Man on third, and Beaufort County has been in this situation many times before. Foul ball, that one's going over. Almost hits the fans on field 2. From the game 2 days ago when I called Beaufort County, they walked themselves into situations 3 times where Phoenix Shapiro at catcher got people out trying to go home. Very impressive play by them, so they are very confident in these situations. Very well coached by Danny Morgan. As I mentioned, a very intelligent coach. Coaches for the local Hilton Head Christian Academy. Ball comes in the field right here. Caden Lee is crowding the plate. As I said, very confident player. And that was a reach right there to the shortstop, Cotter. Ball is caught. 1 run scored, and we have ourselves a tied ball game, folks. That is just the 3rd run allowed by Beaufort County. Caden Lee's sacrificial hit brings up 22 McCall with another man on third base. Hoping to take this lead, but Phoenix Shapiro might have something else to say about that. With 2 outs on the board. Strike right there, and Phoenix Shapiro appeared to refocus and might just take this one into his hands himself and throw the whole breadbasket at him. Ball in the dirt. And I am just hearing the outcome of the game on field number 2 is Beaufort County's 13U team defeated Tri-County, which means Beaufort County will be playing in the championship tonight. Phoenix Shapiro hoping to retire McCall as he's already allowed 1 run and Latta back into this game. That right there is a ball. I believe we have a 3-1 count. McCall looking for the green light on this one as he might just try to get the ball in play. You might want to hit that gap right behind second base. Widespread from the second base and shortstop, and that is a K. Ooh, no, it's not. It's a out there right there. Full count. I meant to say strike, but I said K. Here comes the pitch with a full count. Both hands in the cookie jar. Phoenix Shapiro pulls a chocolate chip cookie out, and he got what he wanted, folks. As he retires, McCall only allowing 1 run. As we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning with Beaufort County looking to head out and add to the score to pull away from Latta. And here we're going to take a brief break, and we will see you back at the bottom of the 3rd. And welcome back to the bottom of the 3rd inning where Beaufort County and Latta are in a tight one. Caden Lee on the mound. And as of right now, Phoenix Shapiro has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ks. And technically in the stat book, he has 8 Ks, but remember that 1 did not count as an out because it was a drop 3 rule. On field number 2, you will now see the championship game starring the 13U Beaufort County and Oconee County in the 13U championship as they battle to see who gets to go to the Nationals for Dixie boys up in Virginia. That team is actually what? Oh, I lied. They are in Alabama. Hopefully they'll stop by, see some Forrest Gump and some Bubba Gump shrimp as they travel to Alabama. Caden Lee on the mound. And looks like we're ready to play some ball as McCall does his signature throw to second base. Second base drops it. But our leadoff batter is number 2, Micah Morgan. Micah Morgan got the start in right field today, but he's typically just used as a pitcher. And man, can he throw the ball. Little bit wild on his placement, but he is a tremendous pitcher. Ball outside, Caden Lee. Micah Morgan making the look something happen here is his first at bat for today's game. Has now come in the 3rd inning. Wind up pitch by Caden Lee. And he backed him up a little bit, but that's a strike. 1-1 the count. Michael Morgan doing his best impression on the mound as Wild Thing in the movie Major Leagues. He's got a cannon for an arm, very long wingspan. Just has to learn how to control that ball. Once he hones in on it as he matures, he is going to be a tremendous baseball prospect. 2-2 the count right now as Micah Morgan watched that ball contort its way into the strike zone. Caden Lee's looking for his 4th K, and Micah Morgan's looking to add to his batting percentage. And that right there is Caden Lee's 4th K as Micah Morgan strikes out swinging. That brings us back to the top of the lineup with the speedy Jackson Riley. Jackson Riley last time out struck out. But if he can get on base, he is a scary base runner. Here comes the ball. He lays down a bunt, but it is unsuccessful. Pulls it back in time, and that's a 1-0 count. That ball was a little outside, a little crazy. McCall coming out to talk to Caden Lee. McCall unusually dropping the ball a couple times today, which is he's normally a very consistent catcher, which I will give to him. Watching him is might not be the biggest catcher, but he is a very good catcher, able to catch the ball. His favorite food is actually crab legs. He just likes playing baseball. Here comes the pitch. And that right there is a strike. One more strike. And Jackson Riley may have struck out again, but he's looking to battle back and just get on base here. Shows the bunt, pulls it back, swings at the ball. Two is the count. Apparently, I am having a miserable day of reading a scoreboard. And that ball appears to be hit foul. It looked close. It looked like it was going to be close to the line. Jackson Riley definitely thought he was going to get his chance to touch the old base, but unfortunately enough, the ball went foul. 2-2 the count. Here comes the pitch. Held back his swing. We're now looking at a full count. Full count, both hands in the cookie jar for Caden Lee. Let's see what happens here. Pulled out a raisin cookie, which nobody likes to see. That's not a treat. But that was, I'm getting quite a face up here from Allen. Allen might have something different to say. Logan Cotter now up to bat with now one of the best base runners for Beaufort County on the bases. Logan Cotter hoping to go back to his favorite place, his apartment by the shore, his third base home, because he is always there. Pulls back. Here comes the gun by McCall. And he is safe. No call by the outfield or the infield umpire, but no call means he's safe. McCall had a pretty good arm in there. And as I mentioned, McCall is a very good catcher. Very good catcher. Here comes Cotter. They're trying to steal him. Safe again, as that was very well thrown, very well played by Logan Byrne. But the ball was just a hair too late. As I had mentioned, Jackson Riley got some need for speed. And actually, Jackson Riley, if I'm not mistaken, might be a fan of cars. Let's take a look here, see if I can find his information. Oh, no, his favorite movie is not Cars, but we're going to make his favorite movie probably Fast and the Furious, because he is fast. Here comes the ball, and that is a ball. Here comes the pitch, a bunt, and a beautiful one. Sacrificial allows his player to score. One run scored. One run scored, but they did get him out at first base as Cotter laid down the Romeo and Juliet play, the sacrificial bunt, bringing a player home, allowing them to take the 2-1 lead, and every point counts in this game. Now up to bat, number 12, Ian Steiner. Ian Steiner has electricity flowing through his bat. If he can get a hold of it, we could see some lightning. Caden Lee doing a very good job on the mound today. And that ball's hit straight to J.P. Bly, the shortstop. And that's an out, as once again, it is a tight ball game, and Caden Lee doesn't mess up too much and only allows one run. And this is a good ball game, folks. We got ourselves a tight one. As we now head into the top of the fourth inning, let's take a brief break, and we'll see you back. And welcome back to the top of the fourth inning, as Beaufort County is now going to use some of the depth in their pitching stable and bring out number 14, Colin Sanchez, the starting left fielder for today's game. And it appears that number 8, Brody Miles, has entered the game. Zach Lane for Latta up to bat. Zach Lane has been a very good pitcher for Latta, but hoping to make something happen here with his bat. It appears that number 8 for Beaufort has been entered in right field. Here's a foul ball. Oh, 2 the count. And we got ourselves a doubleheader on field number 2 as Beaufort County 13U boys hopes to win a game and have a championship. And Colin Sanchez coming out there showing that he can pitch too. And as I have mentioned and will continue to mention, Beaufort County has a lot of pitching depth. Now up to bat, I believe that's number 18, Bryson Berry. Bryson Berry is the starting first baseman and has a pretty distinct green bat. It appears that they have completely removed Phoenix Shapiro from the game. I would not be surprised, though, if they do bring Phoenix back in as the catcher. He is a phenomenal catcher. That's a big whiff right there. 1-2 the count. Brody Miles now in right field as Phoenix Shapiro is on the bench. One, two, still the count. As Beaufort County holds on to the slimmest of leads of a 2-1 score late in the ball game. Here comes the pitch from Colin Sanchez. And Colin Sanchez gets his second K. So far, Beaufort County pitchers have combined for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Reese Rouse now up to bat, donning his old red, white, and blue helmet. First hard throw is in the dirt, and that is ball 1. As Reese Rouse faces an empty count with 2 out, or empty bases with 2 outs. There's strike number 1. 1-1 the count, 2 outs. And that ball's hit to the third baseman. Reese Rouse got some speed on him, but 3 up, 3 down for Colin Sanchez, who has continued the pitching dominance of Beaufort County. And this is for one of the first times we've seen Beaufort County go this late in a game and not lighten up the scoreboard with double digits. It's also the same for Latta. Latta, one of the more explosive teams that can hang bat for bat, probably with Beaufort, but Beaufort's big distinction is their ability to be lights out in the field, especially on that pitcher's mound. Caden Lee still on the mound, and Latta hoping to keep this game close. Caden Lee hoping to ride this wave that he is on. He is their best pitcher. And it looks like Wyatt Lather is now being entered into the game for Micah Morgan. Wyatt Lather is a very talented ball player and a very tough ball player as well. As mentioned in yesterday's game, his regular season coach, Alex Hunt, was able to share with everybody his physical toughness, that he actually had an appendectomy in the middle of the season and came back to play. And that is stuff of legend there, folks. That's a tough young man and not something you see very often in today's society. But his love of the game brought him back, and a guy that really has a special place in my heart. Anthony Seminara in as the DH. He is the leadoff batter for the bottom of the 4th inning. 1-0 the count. As speaking of Alex Hunt, he's appearing not following the rules and not bringing up his batting order. And that ball is fair as it goes to the vacuum Logan Bird, and he gets him out. And Anthony Seminara seemed to belly flop on his way to first base. Not sure what he did. Chase Coella now up to bat. And I'm still trying to figure this out. Did Chase Coella hit an in-the-park home run yesterday? Nobody can seem to remember, but I seem to remember this young man hightailing it around first, second, and third base all the way to home as he sees his first pitch as a strike. That's a ball right there. 1-1 the count. Good eye by Chase Coella. Chase Coella's family, another one deep in talent. Both his cousin and his younger brother have made all-stars in various sports, baseball, basketball. Both their dads are great coaches for us. Old Toby Coella, who we don't actually see that much anymore, but he was a phenomenal coach to have on the baseball field. And his brother is a phenomenal basketball coach and also a baseball coach for this all-star team for the baseball. Three 1 the count. Here comes the pitch. Have a water too, Bob. As he walks Chase Coella. Colin Sanchez, who made his transition from the outfield to the pitcher, had 2 Ks last time he was up, and now is going to attempt to hit the ball. As Caden Lee, a very enthusiastic young man. I think he thought he picked off the guy at first base, and 2 umpires decided that he did not. He did not like that call. And one thing that I will say to a young player is let the game unfold in front of you. Don't let your reactions dictate how your actions should be held. What that means is the referees are going to make calls that you agree with and disagree with, but you can always do something to change the outcome with your play and not your mouth. So hopefully Caden Lee can remain calm because he is a phenomenal player and he's a nice young man that I've met last year. Hopefully he can just hone it in a little bit and understand that sometimes not every call goes your way. Just like in life, you have to learn to respond to adversity with a positive intent. Colin Sanchez doesn't even have his bat picked up. He does not seem to think Caden Lee is going to pitch this ball. Here comes the bunt by Colin Sanchez. He backs it up, and that's a strike. Oh, 1 the count as Colin Sanchez gets a call from Danny Morgan out there in the left. Danny Morgan Caden Lee seems very agitated by the base runner, and with an experienced coach like Danny Morgan, that's something he is going to continue to pick on. And there it is, folks. His emotions appear to have gotten the best of him on that one. He should have just let it go. Danny Morgan, not only is he a pretty prolific coach here at Beaufort County, he also was a tremendous baseball player at Hilton Head Christian Academy, where he then went on to play at Coastal Carolina and then Lander. I always mess that up. I want to say Lather. I have no idea why, but played Lander with one of our fellow coworkers, Evan Christian. And one of the great benefits of being able to announce is sometimes just share what's going through your mind and having the experience as a coach, how many times I would tell my pitcher to just leave it alone and continue to play the good ball game that you're playing would be the only thing leaving my mouth to such a talented pitcher like Caden Lee. Another foul tip right there by Colin Sanchez is staying around. As we got some canines running out deep behind the field, and they are flying. Here comes the pitch from Caden Lee. That's a ball outside, and they attempt to pick off Chase Coella. And that's not going to happen. That guy's what we call shifty. And exactly what wouldn't have happened if he would have just left it alone is Chase Coella has now advanced all the way to third base with a 1-2 count by the batter directly following him. So not what you want to see. And this game that appeared to jump off to a fast start has now slowed itself down to syrup coming out of the bottle. Caden Lee does retire Colin Sanchez. Now up to bat, number 15. Number 15, Carson Colmer. Carson Colmer has done a pretty good job at catcher today. But looking right now, he has the option, and he puts that ball perfectly in between center field and right field. And he's forcing the double, and he gets there. That was a stretch 2 play on that one, I would say, as he flexes down and does his best impression of Hulk Hogan out there. And looks like he called a time to take off some of his accessories and puts on his oven mitt. Now batting, number 13, Tucker Nelson. Tucker Nelson has pitched for Beaufort County, as has everybody else on their team, because they can do that. Score now goes to 3-1. That's a ball in the dirt. Colmer taking a big lead. And if I'm thinking the way Danny Morgan's probably thinking, he wants to continue to kind of irritate the pitcher by having big leads with his runner. Strike one. 1-1 the count. 2 outs. But Carson Colmer is continuing to take a big lead, and I don't know if nobody talked to Caden Lee about it. The Caden Lee's probably going to look back 1 or 2 more times before he finishes this batter. Strike 2, safe at third. And hopefully Latta can come and keep their composure. 1-2 the count right now, and sometimes mistakes happen. So just kind of keep your composure in these instances and keep it a close ball game rather than letting your mistakes dictate how the rest of the game goes. And that's a ball outside. And he's safe at home. Carson Colmer squirts in, and it appears that Caden Lee had some words for McCall, and I don't know how many more times I can say it, but if you want to go far in this world, you got to learn to be selfless rather than selfish. So hopefully Caden Lee just responded in the heat of the moment and didn't actually mean it, because you need to have a good team camaraderie in order to win some games, especially a tough team like Beaufort, who's only up 4-1. And great catch right there as they get out of this inning. At the end of the 4th inning, we have 4-1, Beaufort County leading. Seem to be some stumbling and some disagreements out there for Latta, so hopefully they can come back and rebound in the bottom of or the top of the fifth. Here we are. Colin Sanchez still on the mound in the top of the fifth inning. It looks like number 00, Nick Mendez, the DH for Latta, is in the lineup. Here comes the ball, and there's a foul ball. Bat was thrown. And I do know in Dixie that you have to be careful with the way you put that bat down. We were at the 6U tournament the other day, and they told us very distinctly that if our kids let go of the bat, that they would be ejected. Ken Tinsley behind me trying to understand why you can't throw a bat. He's probably never been on a baseball field in his life before. They were very, very strict, but fair. 2-1, the count. Foul ball, 2-2. Seems to be a lot of jokes from men up here that haven't coached a baseball team in a long time. Now, that is my son's name. He is a 6U All-Star. The youngest one on the team. Here comes the pitch, and that ball's hit. Lather gets underneath it, and you can tell that that's Lather by his locks blowing in the wind like a steed running down the beach in North Carolina. J.J. Welch now up to bat. J.J. Welch did get on the bags last time out there, and he did do a little bit of work. Oh, looks like he just missed J.J. Welch. J.J. Welch really flinched, and I don't blame J.J. Welch considering where that ball was headed. Comer going out there to have a brief conversation with Sanchez. One 0 the count, 1 out. Colin Sanchez looking for his third K. And that's a foul ball, bringing us to a 1-1 count. 1-1-1-1-1. An extra one for Daryl Catola, just because he deserved one. Here we are at the top of the fifth inning with Beaufort County leading 4-1 as that ball is hit deep to center field, caught by the second baseman. As that brings us back to the top of the lineup for Latta with Logan Bird. Logan Bird, like I have mentioned many a times before, is an electric baseball player. Probably one of the best third basemen that we've had in this tournament and one of the biggest bats, but he has not been able to hit a home run this tournament, which I am shocked by. But sometimes, just like shooters in basketball, a batter gets out of his rhythm. Big swing on. He might be trying to force it. Here comes the pitch from Sanchez. That's a strike right there. 0-2 the count. That was a hefty changeup. You can see Colmar shoot his legs right, and us up here in the press box knew it was coming. And I don't know what type of swing that was, but he was just trying to tap it. And Colin Sanchez gets his third K and goes 3 up, 3 down in that inning. That takes us to the bottom of the 5th inning. And Latta has got to get it together on this one if they want to stay in. They got to go 3 up, 3 down. And I'm going to be interested to see if they continue to keep Caden Lee on the mound. Caden Lee seemed to let his emotions get the best of him in that last inning. In fact, even rubbing noses, as they say, with his catcher, which is not a relationship you want to rub the wrong way. But I seem to think that Logan Bird is going to enter the mound, and Logan Bird is also a very, very good pitcher. It appears they may have pulled Caden Lee entirely from the lineup. I do not seem to see him in. I don't seem to see Caden Lee on the field. Logan Bird appears to either grab the wrong glove or wants a different one when he pitches. I'm not exactly sure. Now, Logan Bird can throw with some heat here, ladies and gentlemen, and they tend to go to him quite often as the closer for Latta. So he's hoping to come in here and just change it up, inspire his team, because he is at times the lifeblood of this Latta team. And it appears that Caden Lee did remain on the field, that he is in right field. He is a very, very talented baseball player, but I think his emotions just got the best of him on that last inning, and just can't allow that to happen, especially when you have so much talent on that mound. It's been a very long warm up by Logan Bird. We've had a change of gloves, and leadoff batter for Beaufort County, Wyatt Lather. Wyatt Lather, the old and that's a ball in the dirt. As I mentioned, Logan Bird throws with quite a bit of velocity, so much so his hat flies off his head almost every time he pitches the ball. Two zero the count. Wyatt Lather hoping to continue his success as coming off the bench. Two 2-1 the count as Logan Bird dishes out his first strike. Here comes the pitch. And that ball's hit fair. That's an error on the third baseman as that ball seemed to hit right off the inside of his glove and shoot foul. But that brings us back. That brings us back to the top of the lineup for Beaufort County as number 5, Jackson Riley, the starting second baseman. The umpire seemed to talk to Bird about something. I have a feeling it might be something like try to keep your hat on, but could be tuck your shirt in too. But the hat thing, I don't think is that big of a deal. I don't seem to have a problem with it. Strike one. I mean, when you have that much hair on your head, Alan, it's hard to keep a hat on, you know? And there's a bunt laid down, but that goes foul. As I said, appears that Wyatt Lathers also entered the competition for the best head of lettuce. Got some long locks, looking for his sponsorship from Head and Shoulders, along with Troy Polamalu, Trevor Lawrence, who's also his idol. I believe so. I'm not lying. Got a look from Mr. Catola over here as if I was lying, but if I'm lying, I'm crying, and I haven't shed a tear. 1-2 the count. Man on first. Yep. Wyatt Lathers' favorite sports idol, Trevor Lawrence. Also enjoys the movie Major League. Bum, bum, bum. You make my heart sing. Great movie if you haven't seen Major League. Wesley Snipes, Charlie Sheen. 2-2 the count. No outs. Man on first. As McCall almost hit Bird in the attempt to pick off wild man Wyatt Lather going to second base. 3-2 is the count. Both hands in the cookie jar for Logan Bird. He's looking for a chocolate chip, but we could see an oatmeal raisin. And that ball is hit deep. Foul ball. And I think we might have to use Google Translator up here for Ken Tinsley as he cannot announce these kids' names coming onto the field. Number 2. Bryden didn't. There's the ball. Jackson Riley gets back on base, and he's hoping to use his feet as number 11, Logan Cotter, is starting shortstop. And we are slowly starting to get pushed out of the press box by the loudness of Ken Tinsley's voice as he continues to butcher names on field number 2. Logan McCall with the smart decision. That was a smart decision from Logan McCall And that was a smart baseball play. Rather than risk the run home by Wyatt Lather, he held on to the ball to ensure that he was not coming home. One the count, no outs, and a man on third and second. And I have heard a lot of bad announcing here in my days, but Ken Tinsley is up there, buddy. And that is a good, wow, what a bunt. What a bunt by Logan Cotter, bringing home the wild man Wyatt Lather, extending the lead for Beaufort County 5-1. And up comes Mr. Grand Slam himself, Ian Steiner. And that was a beautiful bunt. Almost it was in the position for a sacrificial bunt, but was not. Logan Bird throws his first pitch as a strike. Ian Steiner, 0-1 count. Strike two as Logan Bird seems to have honed in. One, two, the count. Ian Steiner trying to battle back here with a 1-2 count. And that ball's hit right to the shortstop, JP Bly wasn't able to make it. And that brings in 2 runs, and that is a single hit by Ian Steiner. And that extends the lead 7-1, no outs in the 5th inning for Beaufort County. And Beaufort County appears to have found their rhythm. And I want to say the turning point for Latta may have been the brief altercation between the catcher and the pitcher. Now up to bat, number 7, Anthony Seminara, the designated hitter. And that was an avalanche of announcing over there by Ken Tinsley. All jokes aside, you got to appreciate his enthusiasm. He's actually not even using the microphone. He's just talking that loudly, folks. He is just yelling, Oscar Frazier. 1-0 the count. Oh, and that hits Anthony Seminara. Anthony Seminara seems to trot that one off as he is a very strong young man. Chase Quella now up to bat. Chase Quella, a part of, appears that we do have a timeout on the mound. They're going to talk to Logan Bird. And not very often do we see this team get a little bit shaken up like they have been today. They had the close game early on. I believe the score was 2-1 all the way up into the 3rd or 4th inning. And now it has seemed to fall. Actually, I apologize. It was the 3rd inning. The score was 2-1. But the wheels seem to come off in the 4th. And they are pulling Logan Bird. I'm assuming he's going to go to 3rd base. Appears that Logan Bird is actually drifting over to 1st base. It's a real shame. Just like we saw with Tri-County, it appears that some of the star players of Latta are beginning to hang their head, which is not something you like to see. Young men need to understand that 90% of them playing youth sports is to develop character and confidence, and you're going to face situations where you're not the biggest, baddest dog on the block. And as my mama once said, there's always somebody bigger and better than you, but somebody's got to be the baddest, mama, is what I always like to say. I don't believe that we've seen Reese Rouse pitch yet this tournament. He did pitch briefly last year, I do remember. This is his first time pitching this tournament, and you got to wonder, they must be trying to save some pitchers for tomorrow, because they will have to play tomorrow for sure if they do not find a way into a victory in this game, as they will drop down to the loser bracket and have to play a team that has battled their way back. So and that ball is far outside, and even Reese Rouse in warm-up has yet to get the ball to the catcher. And as I mentioned, he pitched last year and had a pretty decent outing last year from my memory. He is a good pitcher. He might just be a little bit rusty. Might be surprised that he got called in to pitch today. Here comes the pitch. 2-0 is the count. That ball must have been slightly high. It was straight down the center. Must have been a little bit high. Chase Coella is a little bit shorter in stature, smaller strike zone for a guy like this, and there is a strike. 2-1 the count. It's actually beneficial in baseball to be a little bit shorter in stature because your strike zone is tighter. As a short man myself, that is something that I always say, and that is going to be another run score on an errant throw. Number 12, Ian Steiner, came in home, and that now extends the lead 8-1. You got to give it right now to McCall. He has had quite a day, has moved more than I've ever seen him move today. And sometimes you just got to feel bad. They're wearing the most gear out there. And there's another ball. That's a high ball. Chase Coella now walks to first base. And that brings up number 14, Colin Sanchez. I said it before and I'll say it again. Being a catcher in baseball is probably the top 3 or 5 hardest positions in all of sports. Balls are being thrown at you at exuberant speeds. And your job is to catch it in a crouching position and then attempt to make a good decision while everybody else has had an advantage of being in a standing position. So very, very difficult. Right up there with goalie in soccer. And what might be the hardest position in all of sports is a goalie in hockey. Try wearing 30 pounds of gear on little thin ice. Oh, and the ball gets away from him, and McCall says it's stuck in the fence. I think that run still counts, even though the ball was stuck in the fence, but it does not allow anybody else to advance. So if a ball ever gets stuck in a fence or gets stuck in an unplayable position, so you do get to advance one, but you can only advance one base, and that is why that run counts Chase Quello was able to advance to third, extends the lead 9-1, and it appears that the wheels have fallen off the wagon for Latta, which is not something you want to see because they are a very, very good ball team. One of my favorite teams to watch play every single year. Winning run is actually at the plate. So now on first. So if Colin Sanchez is to make it across home plate, they enter into the Mercy 10-run rule. Carson Colmer, number 15, now up to bat. There's no outs, and they are in good position as they are pulling the pitcher, and looks like they are entering in. As we are now joined in the press box by all-star cheerleader Brinkley Christian. She is a high flyer, daredevil type of cheerleader, wins many competitions. She gives me a nice little smile as she walks down. What an athletic and sweet family the Christian family is. That's another ball outside. Winning run has advanced to second base, and right now we're looking at a 2-0 count. Reese Rouse kind of put in a very, 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 very difficult position. He hasn't pitched all tournament. He's being asked to come in an extreme deficit where he probably didn't even think he was pitching, but he is a good ball player, good hitter. There's a strike. 3-1 the count as Reese Rouse tries to battle his way back. And Bob Rosak up here telling us his skill level is that of elite level non-look catches. The winning run is now advanced to third base. So the reason we keep calling this the winning run is because it is the bottom of the fifth inning, 10 after 5. If a team is up by 10 or more runs after the fifth inning, the game ends. Latta's head coach seems to be walking out there. It's having a discussion with the winning run on third base. One thing that I want everybody to remember, if Latta is to lose this game, their tournament is not over. This would be their first loss, and they will most likely battle their way back into looks like we have J.J. Welch now entering the pitch. I'm a little bit unsure about this call right here. But you got to give it to Reese Rouse. He kept his composure in there. It was a little bit of a tough position to be put in, especially at such a young age. But this is not the end of Latta, and I have a very sneaky suspicion that we will see them again. J.J. Welch on the mound. But this was a completely different game the first 3 innings that it has been the last 2. And it all seemed to come unravel when there was some type of disagreement between the pitcher and the catcher. Things kind of spiraled out of control for Latta. And Beaufort County is a team that is coached to take advantage of disadvantages. So if they seem some type of weak spot in a team, they will take advantage of it. And we're going to take a brief break as J.J. Welch warms up. And welcome back as J.J. Welch takes the mound up against, I have yet to see the batter, number 3. What are you doing? Not really sure what that call was, why nobody went home. Ethan Sikowski was the one with the hit as he was thrown out at first base, bringing in wild man Wyatt Lather. There's a strike right there by J.J. Welch. The starting second baseman at the beginning of the game has now worked his way into pitchers. We've seen 4 pitchers from Latta. 0-1 the count, 1 out. And that ball is hit. I believe Danny Morgan thought he had a glove on. Tried to barehand it. Not sure why that winning run wasn't brought in on that play there. And that was a very slow pitch ball that dropped in. And we're back at the top of the lineup as Jackson Riley now gets here with 2 outs and the winning run on third base. Eli Morgan is the runner on third base, Danny's son. Strike 1, 1-1 the count, 2 outs with the winning run on third base. And that's very often how these games kind of go. Here comes the pitch. That ball is hit. And that's the ball game, folks, as Eli Morgan steps on home plate. And Latta is defeated 11-1. Now, tomorrow we will see Beaufort County take on Oconee. A 6:30 game on field number 3. And Latta will take on Loris at 6:30 on field number 1. So this is not the end of Latta. They really need to pick up their heads. I really hate to say this, but sometimes a bad attitude can be the most deadly thing to a talented team where you kind of create your own problems. And Latta is, in my opinion, a team that can give Beaufort County its biggest run for its money, but they have got to keep level-headed. Very impressive athletes on their team. It's a great first 3 innings, tight. But looks like we'll be back tomorrow as Beaufort County continues their reign as they have now outscored their opponents 52-3. We will see you guys tomorrow at Beaufort County Channel.